Hello. Is my mic coming in okay, everyone? Can you give me a shout out in the chat there if it is? We've got some really bad weather here right now, and I'm sorry, but you're probably going to get a little more bleed through. Even though I have a filter, I do believe it's loud enough that you're going to hear the wind, and you're definitely going to hear this horrendous torrential rain that we're having right now. And so apologize for that. Maybe I'll try to be louder. I don't know. I'm usually loud enough, but anyway, it's the beginning of the week. It is the first stream for me in True Crime Tuesday night. We've got a full plate, a full load, I should say. If you saw the thumbnail, we got something. Not like our Sunday nothing. We got something. We got a bunch of something for you today. But first, of course, oh, hi, Mark. How are you? Can't hear a word I'm saying? Not even about the weather? Somehow I doubt that, Mark. Somehow I doubt that. I doubt that a lot. Hey, Juju. Hey, Mousy. Shield, thank you for being here to mod. Hey, look at the trees. How are you? Yeah, it's good to see you. Hi, Record. Thank you for the otters. Yeah, I could use some otters. I need all the otters. I have to tell you that the weather just sends me off a little bit. So not exactly my favorite windstorms. Hey, Mousy, Juju. Anyway, thank you for the reminder, Shield. Look, a banner before we even get too started with the show there. Yeah, are you getting flooded, drowned trees? Same thing here, Mousy, on the East Coast. I should be a little bit grateful that the weather did warm up a little and it's not snow. But then, hey, the wind would still be here, They are cool animals. Look at the trees. They are my, I don't know, like my own personal little mascot. Like they make me happy. They're one of my happy places for sure. Both do. So we've got like five cases to update on today, and I thought I'd leave it to you guys which one we started with. But if you look at the thumbnail, we've got Miss Sarah Boone out of Florida. We've got Andrew and Christian Tate out of Romania. Okay. We've got Jean Carroll versus Trump because that trial is like right around the corner, like going again, number 2. And there was some very interesting things on that. Oh, we've got Bryan Kohberger out of Idaho in Moscow. The Moscow, Idaho 4 murders. We've got a little bit of an update there. And then I got something new for you. A man by the name of Lee Carter, a.k.a. Viper, a rapper. Very, very bad rapper. Well, he's bad in a lot of ways that we're going to talk about. Thank you for the otters, everybody. Thank you. It really does help. Yeah, Tim Bob, I know what they say about that, but like they got their good side, they got their bad side, just like humans. Like, so behave. Yeah. Behave. So, okay, guys. So those are the 5. Okay. Anybody have a preference? Let's see. Oh, Viper. You need to learn about Viper there, Juju. Dealer's choice. Mark. Tate first, please. Okay, yeah, we'll get Tate over with. Okay, let's get Tate over with then. Hold on. I kind of like that suggestion there, Juju. So that's what we're going to do first. All right. Everybody knows these mugs, right? That's Tristan and Andrew Tate. Okay. They're up on a slew of racketeer, human trafficking, enterprising organization, assault without, relations without permission, what we call that, right? All kinds of things over in Romania that they are denying constantly that there's even a case. Even though we've got the legal document in front of us, so we can read it. Romania is still pressing they can't leave the country. The absolute just misinformation that they put out in regards to this case is astronomical. It's all over the socials. It is infuriating to me, which is why I'm covering this, because I just want the real information out there. I want them to get a fair trial. Thank you for the otters, guys. I want them to get a fair trial. Yes, I do. But trial they shall have, okay? They cannot act like nothing's going on. But these two, they keep insisting on it like there's nothing going on. So just recently on Twitter, like 2 days ago, I saw a post from Andrew Tate that they won their assets back, that they won in court, they got their assets back, and the whole thing's going to get tossed. But that's not what happened, okay? As usual, there's a little kernel of truth in there, but it ain't what it ain't. So anyway, all of the little Tateites or tater tots or whatever the hell you call those people who are absolutely out of their damn mind and follow this man and worship this man, all those delusional people are out there posting that the case is getting tossed and that they got their assets back and they'll be here in America like in no time at all. Bull, 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 bull. What happened was a procedural hiccup in Romanian law. When they seized the assets, certain time frames needed to occur with certain papers and certain things. What happened was there was a hiccup in the time frame. So they're going to have a hearing again, a rehearing about the assets. Now, you know that Romania already, the court system already denied them getting their assets back legally based on who owned it and whether there was enough evidence against their criminal enterprise to hold said assets. The court already said that based on the fines and what they're going to owe back to Romania, that those assets actually should stay in their possession so that they aren't sold or misappropriated or absconded with. They want to make sure that they get their money. So that all kind of held up in the court. The only thing that's going to happen is another hearing, which will more than likely, based on the evidence, come out the same way. All they got was to get it reheard because of a procedural hiccup on timing. Not because there's not evidence against him, not because the judge made a mistake, not because there wasn't anything to it, which is what they are actually propagating out there on Twitter, which is annoying the heck. I mean, can you tell I'm annoyed? I'm glad you had me start, Juju, with Tate so I could get this all out and get it over with and then let the otters like wash over me and take me back to like a better place, because these two are really pissing me off. They're just seriously pissing me off. Okay. And also in the meantime, if you're looking at the socials, more women are coming forward. And what's happening is they are being absolutely bombarded by the tater tots. Or by the sycophants, the ill-informed. They are being attacked seriously. And so I'm just going to say, like, everybody, like, we just need to stay out of it. We need to put the real information out there and not contribute to this actual ridiculousness that's going on with this. And they just look so foolish. I don't know why he thinks that his followers can't read, but apparently they do. Because it's not that hard. You do a Google search and you could find the charges and the case, Yeah, I am by covering it, Tim Bob, you don't seem very happy here. So, you could be like unhappy elsewhere because like I really don't appreciate you trying to disrupt my stream. So, you're a little rambunctious, But anyway, these guys, I realize that, and you do have a valid point though. All of us that cover it are contributing, okay? All of us are contributing because we're covering it. But I feel that the way I contribute by putting like the information out there and trying to straighten it out, um, is at least, constructively. Okay. What I meant by not contributing is like the arguing and the name calling and the stuff that I'm seeing going on the social media platforms, you know. Um, so anyway, here we go. So anyway, any questions in regards to that? There is going to be a hearing on the assets. The legal opinion here in the United States on those that are looking at it is that the outcome will more than likely be exactly the same because it's an evidentiary hearing on whether they should hold the assets based on the charges and the evidence they have to prove those charges and the likelihood that they're going to owe fines and those assets are going to be like right where they belong. So anyway, thank you for the orders. You guys are really filling them up. Thank you very much. All right, so let me remove that. Okay, so anybody have a preference for the next one? If you don't have any questions in regards to either Andrew or Tristan. Tristan has a little bit more charges against him because actually his one charge in regards to things being done without consent is actually a younger person, I think 17, a minor. Okay. And he has a couple of other offenses that way than Andrew did. Andrew only has the one. Okay. Hey, Tsunami, how are you? All right. So, all right. I think the next one I'm going to do, since we already have we already have Tim Bob all upset with us like about the Tate stuff, so we might as well go right into Jean Carroll. Like if we're going to get people annoyed, let's talk about Trump, right? Okay, people, let's just talk about one of his lawsuits too. I mean, if they're going to be annoyed, we might as well give them reason to. Okay. In regards to Jean Carroll, we know that the second lawsuit, which is actually the first lawsuit that was filed in regards to the 2019 release of her book in statements where she was on a public relations tour and she said that Donald Trump had assaulted her and he then as president took to the podium and defamed her. Okay, that case was actually stalled while he was president because you cannot sue civilly for monetary or damages a president during his presidency, and that's reasonable. We all agree with that, right? Okay. There was the second part where when he wasn't president anymore, he continued to defame Jean Carroll. And if you've been following this case since 2019, like I have, that's something he does on a regular basis. If not daily, at least weekly, and he just keeps racking them up. In the second lawsuit, which was filed with the Adult Survivors Act, okay, in New York, in that 1-year win frame for cases that are old, with no statute of limitations, she brought charges against Donald Trump for that. And she won in the second case. Yes, she did. There was definite information that he was defaming her. The judge ruled that he defamed her before the trial even started. They just needed to start on the damages and deal with the assault. Under New York legal, under the penal code in New York, the definition for actual rape was too strict and the timeline too much for in her actual testimony not enough to actually claim rape. But what they did say was sexual battery without consent, which means he violated her without her consent. Now, this is a bone of contention, and the reason I am making it very clear is because part of what we're updating about with Jean Carroll is that currently the defense team for Donald Trump wanted to come into this the first trial, which is actually going to be the second trial, the first charge suit, which is now the second trial from 2019 when he was president. They wanted to come forward and say that The jury said she wasn't raped. Well, the jury didn't say she wasn't violated, but the term rape could not be used. The jury was very clear that, yes, she was violated, and they awarded $5 million to Jean Carroll, and she won this suit. Okay, but they changed the language based on the penal code in New York. But the defense team wanted to come forth and said that means nothing happened. And they petitioned the court to be able to bring that evidence forward. And Judge Kaplan threw it out. He denied it. They're appealing it. It got denied. It happens a lot in New York with the appeals with Donald Trump. So he's not allowed to come into the court and say, I didn't rape her, because he did assault her. So the judge said it was semantics. It was unfair. It was it was going to be prejudicial, too prejudicial for the jury, and it wasn't clearly what happened. There is a guilty verdict. And if they wanted to talk about the guilty verdict, they could definitely do that, which I kind of, yay, Judge Kaplan, for putting him in his place about that. Okay, because it was wording in penal code, and it was definitely still a win for Jean Carroll, and he's not allowed to really take that away, not in a court of law anyway. Okay, so the other thing that happened in the Jean Carroll case is that Donald Trump has actually been trying to appeal the first victory. He is trying to actually appeal that should have never happened, and he found a whole bunch of very small things to pick on, but it got tossed. It got denied, and it went to the court, and the court actually looked at his request, and they won't even take it up. There's not enough there to justify considering an appeal for overturn of the judgment. There you go, Donald. That's a loss. Sorry. So Jean Carroll got those 2 wins this week before going into her trial. And again, this actual trial, all the jury has to do, they don't have to decide whether Jean Carroll was defamed or assaulted. Now, they just need to decide how much he has to pay, because it has already been decided that there is enough evidence and decreed by the judge. It's a waste of the jury's time to have a trial to prove something that's already been proved. The first trial, number 1, already proves it. There's the verdict there. And it's on the same stuff. And as a matter of fact, in this one, even though the original charge is from 2019, when he made his original statements after her press, when she was coming out to do the press for her book release, as soon as the other trial, the other civil suit was settled, in the actual verdict came out, he left, and he heard about that verdict, and he picked up a mic and he went on CNN and he defamed her again in 2023, right after the verdict was read. And he went on and on and on, and he's been continuing to go on and on and on. And so what Jean Carroll did was amend her suit to include that. So they have even mulled away. He's not going to stop. I mean, he just keeps doing it. He's just going to keep racking up like these judgments to pay, and he's going to be, quite a lot of money. You can't file bankruptcy to get rid of a lot of these judgments. So I don't know. If he's running, Mrs. Cassandra's asking me if he's running for president again, what will happen? Nothing, because this jury only needs a certain amount of time to decide the damages, and the damages don't go away. He's already lost the first case. He owes her $5 million for that one. She's looking for $12 million for this one, because he keeps continuing. And the other thing that will happen is that if he keeps defaming it, the court could actually put him in jail, because penalty is not stopping him. Being found liable is not stopping him. I was reading a legal opinion, earlier today that said he's really putting himself at risk. And the reason that they did this legal opinion is because when the court denied to actually even look at his appeal request because it was so poorly written and there was nothing there to actually for them to weigh in on, which is the truth. That's exactly what they see. They didn't even actually give him a really good reason. They just said no. Well, Donald Trump doesn't like the word no, and I don't blame him for being disappointed. He was kind of counting on the fact that this would at least tie things up for a while and delay him going into this part of this trial right now, where he's going to possibly owe a lot more money. Okay. He was trying to get the whole thing delayed by going into the appeal process, but since they won't even acknowledge it, there's no chance of that now. So he took to social media, to his True Social account, and within an hour, he did like 47 posts like a madman, screaming at the top of his lungs about Jean Carroll again, which really all he's done is add to the lawsuit or prove the point that he's not going to stop. And, well, it just was really bad form. There's quite a few articles out there on it right now. I've listed a couple of them down below for you. I also list the briefs for you from Judge Kaplan. And for those of you that like to read the legal stuff, Judge Kaplan's pretty good. I do enjoy his, so I did list both of them for you. The one in regards to not allowing the evidence in of him saying that the charge for rape was dismissed, because it wasn't dismissed, it was reworded. So it wasn't actually true, and Judge Kaplan was not going to let that happen because he's not going to let them just lie in court. Well, actually not lie. I would say mislead. Part of it is true. The word you can't use, because it did get recategorized. Okay, it did. But it doesn't mean that he was innocent of it. It just means they're calling it something different. Okay, the act is still the act. Okay. Mm-hmm. But anyway, it won't matter whether he's president or not for the judgments there, Mrs. Cassandra. It would just be they may not be able to arrest him for non-payment or throw him in jail for violating any terms or gag orders or things like that. It makes it a little bit messier, but it's not going to solve. It's not going to take away these judgments at all. So that answers that question. But that's what Jean Carroll, and that's happening. That's happening this next week. Okay, we're going into that. It's not going to get delayed the way he wanted it all. Okay, now, and I had this. So this was a picture of Jean Carroll after she won the first one. Okay, I didn't have a new one from this week to put up for her. There's not a good picture of her, from this week that I put like. No, Jim Bob, the act is the act in this case. I'm going to go on you with that because the difference between, you know what, you're not doing apples to apples. You're doing apples to oranges here. And I am going to take you to task on it here because, murder is murder and manslaughter is murder. They both produce a dead body. They've got that in common. But actually, murder is with intent, and manslaughter could actually be an act like where the death occurred through something you did, but it wasn't actually with intent. But when you violate somebody without their consent, if you go back and you find out, and here's where you got to check your facts before you run your damn fingers across your keyboard there, Mr. Bob, is that the penal code was only rewritten because the only thing that they couldn't do is she didn't see his peen, which was the only thing. Like she couldn't say whether it was his finger or his penis, but she was violated against her will. She was violated without consent. And it doesn't really matter what he used, except for the language of the penal code. So take that shit, okay? Like, know your fucking facts before you come with me, because I have absolutely lost my patience with you, sir. I do actually welcome other opinion, but it needs to be educated and it needs to know what it's talking about. You actually have to bring something before, except for your edgelord, contrarian little bullshit act. You bring it, you can talk about it. You do this shit, you might as well take off. Sorry, people, but I've had it with this. And I'm a little on the edge because of the wind. That's 2 strikes, Tim. Try another. You're out. Tim Bob, if you think violation doesn't prove intent, then you don't know English. Check the language. Violation. Go read the definition. And then while you're out, why don't you take exit stage left before somebody tosses you? You actually don't know what you're talking about. You really don't. And you're really just trying to actually upheave the chat, which thankfully they're not, but you have got under my nerves, which is probably what you did intend. So I do apologize to everybody for letting that happen, but I don't have any patience for this bullshit today. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Boo. Okay. So back to the real subject. All right. So are there any other questions? I mean, would anybody else like me to clarify some of the comments that were being made? Because I will. Because if that's actually a counter opinion about something, I want to clarify the facts. Because to me, violation does not prove intent is the most asinine thing I've ever heard of. But like, does anybody really need clarification on that? And I'll be kind, because actually your name isn't Tim Bob. So don't be afraid. I am actually calm about it now. I just want to make sure it's clear that I'm not just being rude for no reason. That was just dumb. Okay. That was just absolutely dumb. And I have plenty of room in my conversation for the other side of any situation, but I really don't have a lot of patience for stupidity, contrarianism, or fucking edgelord attitude. Like I don't got time for that. I'm a grown ass woman and I don't play with children. Okay, so yeah. Thank you guys for taking care of that. Yes, I remember this. This actually, this is it. Thank you there. Thank you there, Sean. Okay. I think you misspelled up one of the lemon meringue pie instead of some kiwi showed up. You guys are too funny. Who would you like to do next? Okay, if there's no more questions about Jean Carroll in like look at the trees I just read, which I just read what you wrote. In her defense, he can't see it either. This is true. This is true. Like, she could not confirm. Okay. She could not confirm in her testimony, and so it didn't qualify for the penal code. Okay. Which is, which was the long and short of it. Okay. So to speak. That got me laughing. Yes, Tsunami, manslaughter is a category of murder. You are correct. But he was doing like that. He was doing that apples and oranges thing, which is, which is quite popular in contrarianism. Let's just obscure the facts here and not talk about the same thing. Yeah, exactly. Oh, Jen, I'm sorry. I haven't been able to play Duo, but I will be soon. Like, I will find some time. Okay, so we still got Sarah Boone, Bryan Kohberger, or Viper. Any preferences? All right. I do. Can we talk about Sarah Boone for a minute? I would like to do Sarah Boone. This is actually, listen, Sarah Boone's new attorney, Mr. Hobson. I mean, she's got an attorney who's doing his job. Man, is he doing his job? Okay, so let's just talk about the most recent filing in the Boone case, which is very difficult to actually get the paper, which is why I'm not actually showing it. But I do have the article down. But I do have linked below The lawyer, Tragus Law, he actually just did something on this. He had the actual document, which is why I'm linking his video, so that you guys know that what we're going to be talking about, it is actually documented on the case. I'm not insecure. All right, you know what? Guys, that's 3. Could you do it for the day? I'm done playing. Please. I want to do my show. What I don't want to do is actually make you any more relevant. Okay. So somebody just make him completely irrelevant. I would like the rest of my show to myself, and I do not want to share it with Mr. Bob. And it's not a matter of being insecure. And if he wants to think that, that's just fine, because I realize I'm a little out of character tonight, because I just don't feel I should have to put up with it. Period. My show, my rules, take it any way you want. Just take him the hell out of here. That would be great. So anyway. Sarah Boone's lawyer, Mr. Hobson, filed a brief just recently, a couple of days ago. I've linked the video from Tragus Law, the lawyer down below, and he actually had physical copy of it to go with everything that we're going to talk about here. But in that brief, they have again asked for the funding from the JAC to be increased so that they can get this expert witness. And they have named the expert witness as Linda Dorr, very, very qualified. Okay. And the most fascinating part about that, that's not unusual, because the other lawyers, including Bankowitz, had already filed on this. And there were hearings scheduled before Frank Bankowitz, the previous attorney, decided he was withdrawing because they weren't getting along and he was getting called names and etc. And he couldn't work under that pressure. So he had already filed, and there was a hearing. As a matter of fact, when he actually got permission to leave, the actual JAC lawyers were there to do the hearing, but they couldn't proceed because Sarah Boone, at that point, because he got permission to leave, didn't have an attorney. So they couldn't go through with the hearing. So another delay. Shocker, shocker, right? It is just another delay upon another delay upon another delay upon another delay with Sarah Boone's case. Okay. And now that they are going for this expert witness, Linda Deere, okay, I've linked some information. I actually found a good, credible page of all her credentials, and I linked that down below under Boone for you guys, along with Tragos's lawyer, the Tragos lawyer video, because wow, was she impressive. She's a PhD. She's a psychotherapist. Okay. She also does crime scene restaging and reenacting. She also does jury vetting. Okay. And jury, what is that word when they actually, try to help you pick the perfect jury? Anyway, I would say vetting, until I think of the other word, but there's actually a better term for it. She's very qualified. So she's like the triple threat of expert witnesses here. Not only is she going to be speaking on some key issues the defense wants to bring up as the defense for Sarah Boone. Now, some of them have been mentioned in other briefs. They were talking about, battered woman syndrome. Okay. Yeah, they were definitely going to come forward with that. Now they're talking about personality disorders. Okay, we don't know if they mean Sarah's or George or George. Okay. There's also talking about abuse situations and abusive relationship situations. They're not knowing whether it was going to be Sarah or George that they're bringing in on this that she'll be speaking on. But the most incredibly new one that we have all talked about, and I think Juju's going to be a bit happy when she hears these words. In the brief, they brought forward that they're going to be looking into alcoholic blackout as part of the defense. Now, they're not saying whether it is Sarah or George with the alcoholic blackouts, but she's going to be speaking on that with her expertise, Linda Deer. Okay. So I found that very interesting because that's been something that we've all talked about because they were drunk, because of the situation. And for those of you that are new to the case, this is deemed the suitcase killer because it was, long and short, a couple of years ago, quite a few years ago. She's been sitting in jail for quite a few years now, waiting for her trial. Well, Sarah Boone in Florida, she a night of hanging out, doing art, and drinking with her boyfriend. They've had a tumultuous relationship. There are several warrants on file to where there were domestic things between the two of them in other counties and all, and aggression, domestic violence kind of situations prior to the incident. But apparently, per Sarah Boone's statement in her interview, which is everywhere, especially on Law and Crime, they have the whole long thing. And actually, Tragos is going to go into it when he covers it in the video. He's going to replay a very important section of it that we're going to be talking about. So I do recommend you guys actually go and watch that after we talk to understand where I'm coming from this. Well, with Sarah Boone and George were playing hide and seek, and he crawled into a suitcase and she zipped it up, and and hide and seek, because you always help the person hide and then you go and find them. I don't understand that part of it, but this is the story. They were playing hide and seek. She then proceeded to sit on the couch and drink some more wine while he cried, cried out to her that he couldn't breathe in the suitcase and was having difficulty, was calling her name. And she sat on the couch and filmed it and giggled and just talked back to him in a very slurred, what we would call like tone that did seem to be inebriated. And she took a couple of videos, which the officers found on her phone when she was arrested. And that's major part of the evidence against her. Because she says that she went upstairs to bed, went to sleep, and she thought he could get out. And she came down the stairs in the morning and he was demised. That's the story. Okay. By bringing in alcoholic blackout, they're now addressing the alcohol in the issue. And they did in the interrogation. In part of the interrogation video that's there, the problem with bringing alcoholic blackout into this is that during the interview, Sarah repeatedly declines that she was that drunk, that she gets that drunk. She doesn't like to get drunk. She doesn't like to feel off. And so how are they going to actually present this, that she gets so drunk she goes into blackouts like it's all the time? It doesn't actually it doesn't actually balance out, There's videos of the dude in the suitcase, right? Yes, there was on TikTok. Yes, there was. And there's her videos of him actually calling out to her. She's actually videoed it herself. The videos that you see of him in the suitcase, she took herself, and they're from her phone. Yeah. Mrs. Cassandra. So they're going to go with she was too drunk to know what she was doing. We don't know. They've listed alcoholic blackout. However, Tragos Law brought up the point. He brought up the point, like, how are they going to do that when she's actually during the interviews the whole time? They can just use that against her. She's denying it the whole time. She doesn't have a drinking problem. She says it to them repeatedly. She does not have a drinking problem. She doesn't like to drink. They don't do it that often. Okay. They went back and forth. Her story changed a little bit here and there. This is new being added to the defense. I mean, it's been a couple of years of defense lawyers bringing things forward, and not once did they bring this forward. And I know that Juju and I have talked about it, and we've talked about it in the Discord in some of our conversations in regards to this case. Like, why isn't anybody talking about the fact that she was altered and inebriated, and all of that? Why isn't the defense bringing that in? And this could be because of that interview. It's going to be difficult. Her attorney should say that she was scared during interrogation, because she was. Yes, she was. uh, basically a lot of the case that the prosecution has against Sarah Boone is Sarah Boone. She talked too much. She talked all the time. She interfered. She tried to control. She did all the things you're not supposed to do. She did. Her defense needs to play on her statement of this is what it feels like, because it's unclear if she's saying when you choke me or when you cheat on me in the camera footage. True. Many people are reporting that she said cheat. Okay, but if it could be determined through other interpretation that it's choke, that's a whole different thing. I agree, Tsunami, because that would be much more to battered woman syndrome. Okay. Yep, she took the videos and then she mocked him while he was in there, and that's another part of it. Yep. That kind of is not going to play well with a jury. I agree. Mhm. When you choke me, then she could use IPV as defense. If it's when you cheat on me, she'll have to rely on that personality disorder. Exactly. But we don't know, like with the personality disorder, who they're talking about yet although it's her expert witness, we don't know if she's talking about Sarah Boone or the deceased. You know, too drunk is never going to work. Exactly. Yeah. Because in Florida, there is a law that says you can't use that as a defense, drugs or alcohol, especially if you've taken them willingly. If you actually chose to drink or to do that drug, you cannot use it as a defense in the state of Florida. True. Okay. I knew, Juju, I knew you were going to want to hear that one, because she's like, damn, there it goes. But yeah, so it doesn't matter. If she was too drunk to know better, it's not a defense. It's not a legal defense in Florida, because she bought. That is why I was wondering, while they were doing the interrogation of Sarah Boone in the investigation, the female detective kept going back to, how did you get the alcohol? Whose decision was it to buy the alcohol? When did you buy the alcohol? And then you drank more, and like was really honing in on who did what in regards to the alcohol and how much and whose decision each one was. And now I see why, based on the law in Florida. They're going to be able to prove that it was Sarah's choice to drink. Okay. And she did. And she can't use it as a defense, regardless of how drunk she got. Now, whether she was an alcoholic or not, that's a different thing, because if they can prove alcoholic is a mental disorder and debilitate, like it depends on the law. I don't know about the alcoholic part. I have to investigate that part of the law a little bit more. I've got to ask some questions of some very good lawyers, because I was wondering the same thing, Tsunami, like whether or not if it gets to that point. But that could be where this actual expert witness is going to come into play. I mean, Linda Demer, she may be able to, Linda Deer may be able to actually figure that all out, like lay that all out for us based on the law, on when it crosses to something you willingly want to do and when it's actually a disorder. She's in that sweet spot where she's drunk enough to be blacking out, but not quite drunk enough to not be credible witness. Is that right? Well, pretty much she's not a credible witness at this point. Right. It's from her antics already and the personality that she has displayed, but actually we've only seen part of it. And that would be her obsessiveness with trying to control her own case. Even from the very start, when law enforcement was first on the scene, they have all of that video and they put it out there. And a lot of the commentary has been about from people with body language and, therapists, and they're all like out there like talking about it before it even goes to trial, which can be an issue. They're all saying things like, her behavior was quite controlling. She really needed to know what was going on all the time, and she was almost to the point of manipulating. Law enforcement themselves felt that she was manipulating the scene, manipulating the investigation at that time, trying to control and manipulate everything. Well, fear can make you do that. If she feels like she's going down for this murder and she didn't really like she's like, oh shit, like we were just playing hide and seek, and yeah, I was pissed at him and I was drunk, but I didn't want him dead. And now I have this murder on me. They're looking at me for murder. Like, I mean, that's a very stressful situation. That can make you act very controlling and trying to just get a handle on everything. So I could see why she might have been acting that way, you know. But again, her own actions and behaviors are what got her arrested right away. Differences in her story, things that she was changing, it made them very, very suspicious. Hey, Teresa. You uh, laugh my ass off. Being a moron is a defense if you claim you genuinely did not know you couldn't do something, although I don't think it would fly with homicide. No, I don't, because like, yeah, you know what they say, like ignorance of the law is never an excuse. And like I think she just, I don't know, she just didn't really help herself, especially, antagonistically. All these different lawyers, letters to the judge, even in her civil suit with her ex-husband in custody for her child. Yeah, it's she's a bit much, but she still deserves a fair trial, and that is the other thing here. The good news is that she's going to get a good a good expert witness. She's finally going to have a defense, which we've been wondering all the time. Like, what's going to be the defense? Like, who's on Sarah's side? Who's going to help make sure she gets a fair trial? We got to get her to trial with a good defense attorney. Okay, regardless of all of the shenanigans that she pulls. Okay, she deserves that. All right. She is her own worst enemy, and she's gotten in her way. And now, because she does have someone protecting her, this trial is probably not going to happen in 2024. Like, we're looking like months and months. We have to have hearings now in regards to this expert witness getting paid, because apparently the JAC does not allow enough money for this type caliber witness. And so that has to have a hearing. That's scheduled for the future. Okay. After that, we've got an expert witness of the caliber that's going to be hitting 3 different parts of the trial. Not only are they going to be presenting the defense with why she did what she did, or he or George did what he did, as far as an expert in the psychoanalyst of the whole thing, the psychotherapy part of it. Well, she's also in crime scene recreation. There's something there about whether or not the suitcase went down the stairs with George in it. Like that, I heard in Drago's video. He mentioned that. Is the prosecution going to bring that? Because there were some injuries on George that they weren't sure, like, was that just from turning around in the suitcase, or was he banged up a bit? So, there's that. And unfortunately, everything's like, see, we don't have all the evidence. We're going to hear it like during the trial, which unfortunately, because of this expert witness now, the caliber, not only is it going to be on psychoanalysts and psychotherapy, it's also going to be like for personality disorders and all of that. It's going to be crime scene recreation, going at the evidence about that. The expert witness needs time to look at everything. And now we have also in jury selection, in jury vetting. She's actually going to be weighing in on that too. So there's a lot she's got to get into. And a judge would reasonably grant them extended time. I don't see this trial happening in 2024. I mean, I would say if it does, it would be like October, November at the earliest. Dragos Laws is saying like 2025. People, just hold on to 2025. Like, just be patient. Because if you remember, like back in 2022, when it was like New Year's, all we wanted was a 2023 trial. We really thought that it was going to get there, but nope. Couple of lawyers later, and she's still sitting there. Yeah, unfortunately. unfortunately. But anyway, I like the little smirk on her face. This is my favorite picture of her. This is after she got like her new lawyer. Like she's doing okay. No, actually, this is the hearing before she got her new lawyer, when they told her she wasn't allowed to speak. Okay. Like and she brought her letter, her corrected letter, and she wanted it read. Well, the judge said he was just going to put it on file. Just, Judge Wooten's going to put it on file. He's not really going to let anybody read it or anything like that. He's just going to amend it, and she wasn't allowed to say anything. Mm-hmm. All our trials are getting pushed. That makes me sad. I've got more to say on that. Like, first of all, Courtney Clenny does have a hearing this week. Okay, yay! There is a hearing. There may be something on Courtney Clenny. The reason I couldn't get the update for 2 weeks ago on that Friday is because that hearing never happened. It got pushed. And so that's also Florida, and it's very hard to get anything out of. But definitely there's going to be a hearing on that. We do have the 16th. We've got Jean Carroll that is going forward. Okay. Courtney Clenny is on the 11th. We also have on the 16th the anti-SLAPP hearing for Scientology with Leah Remini. That's going to be going forward, and there's a lot on that. But I decided I was going to do that on Wednesday, but I decided to do the Scientology after the SLAPP hearing. There is a lot to talk about on that, but I didn't want to just say, oh, and I don't know where it's at. You know what I mean? But the judge did get annoyed. I will tell you this. The judge is annoyed with both sides for the amount of filings, and he actually just said, enough is enough. Stop it. Scientology, Leah Remini, stop killing trees. That's it. Like, stop sending this stuff in. We've got enough. We're going to do the hearing on the 16th. Enough is enough. Like, lay off. Like, this is ridiculous. The filings were just massive. I would not be surprised if he actually puts out an order limiting the size of the briefs and limiting the necessary briefs that get filed. In other words, you got certain timelines for certain types of briefs, and you better put them all in one together and handle it as efficiently as possible, because this tit for tat going back and forth is just too much. Too much. He literally said, his last words in his filing were, enough is enough. Like, that was it. He was lit. No. Hey, Pete, how are you? It's good to see you. I know, Juju, right? She said, good on the judge. Exactly. Good on that judge. I was really happy to hear that. But yeah, everything's getting pushed. We're also going to have a hearing. I might as well go right into, let me just pull her down and go right into Kohberger, because that's the next hearing that we can, unless you have any more questions on unless you have any more questions on Sarah Boone. I mean, there's plenty to talk about, but yeah. So for BK, okay, for Bryan Kohberger, there's two things. Number one is this one's pretty big. Okay, remember that the judge came forward. Judge came forward. He said, you know what? He said, although the defense is quite creative in their motions to try to get this whole case toned out based on the jury instructions. And I was quite amused by your presentations and where you went with it. There's just no legal standing for it. There's no law to back it up. Sorry, not sorry. However, it got appealed. It is going to be a hearing on appealing it for some other minor things. And that's going to also happen. Oh, I believe that's the 26th too. Wait a minute. Yep, that's the 26th. Now, the other thing that's to say about that is that it's going to be there's going to be an open hearing, but not on that part. The part about the appeal on whether or not the whole case gets tossed based on this jury instruction, the grand jury instruction, because it's the grand jury, it has to be closed. So it'll be a closed hearing for that part, but then they're going to open the hearing in the judge's courtroom. It will be able to see it by camera. It will be on the judge's YouTube, and it will be in regards to the prosecution presenting their case for the trial. Like, when are we getting a trial date? So they'll start talking about trial date and deal with some other maintenance and housekeeping type issues that they have to clear up. Well, yeah, we may get a trial date on the 26th of January for Bryan Kohberger. Okay, which would be moving forward. So that was a little bit of good news based on Sarah Boone getting delayed again, or anticipated to get delayed again. It really hasn't yet, but it's anticipated to go. You know, the 26th of January. Yes, yeah, this January. This January. Yep, like in 2 weeks. Mm, We're just talking. I'm just talking January dates here for these exactly. So that was the news on Kohberger. Not a lot of news. There was something else that came up, and I didn't know if I just wanted to bring it to you guys to see if you guys knew anything more about it. Well, just recently there were like two more videos by two other true crime channels that brought up Dot the neighbor again, and whether or not they were like a troll or this Braden person. I thought that was all resolved months ago, like it happened like seven months ago, and they would never were put on the witness list or listed as credible. I thought it was all debunked, but I was wondering why it came to light. I mean, the two YouTubers that did it are very good. Like Swamp Rose was on the channel of CJ Evil, okay, which is a really decent channel, and he was very reasonable about it. But he did present some evidence as to why that got debunked, and he replayed his original video from 7 months ago. But I was wondering what sparked it to come back to the forefront. Was it the taking down of the house, or did something else happen that I missed? Because this is not actually part of the trial documents, because that also led me to believe that this person was not actually real, because she's not being pursued by the defense as any kind of witness. Yeah, there have been a lot of them, Pete. Yes, so maybe that so what you're saying is because there was a new flush of documentaries released on the whole case, that's what brought the Dot thing back up. Possibly, you could be right. I was just curious. It's just the month of January brought it up. Mrs. Cassandra, you could be right. Like, yeah, it's a new year. Let's just rehash some things. Like, wasn't that something? Wasn't that something? Yeah. But no. Plus, the 1 year anniversary may have done that in November. Yes, it could have. I agree, Juju. Yes, that's probably good. That's valid. Thank you for helping me put that to rest. I knew I could count on you guys. I knew there had to be something I was missing, and none of that occurred to me. Like, I was just like, what happened? Like, I was looking for something meaty. I automatically went for drama and speculation there, which I really shouldn't. Yep, it could have. But anyway, they were both very interesting videos if you want to check them out. I did not link them because it wasn't like something I was going to get into, because I figured it was all solved. Like, my curiosity was just as, why is it coming up again? But I did think that they did a really good presentation on, why this person was not credible and was not who they said it was. That is a surprise. Should we bet on when the trial should be? We could speculate. Does anybody think that Bryan Kohberger will come to trial before the end of this year? I do. I do actually. I actually think that it could happen by August, maybe, or September. Um, Possibly. Maybe that's wishful thinking. Well, that's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping. Okay. Oh, who do we have left? Oh, this guy. Oh my gosh. All right. Any questions besides the trial? Like we don't have the trial date, but we're gonna get one. That's true, Juju. It kind of goes hand in hand, and I think like combined, That is probably the best reason why everything was coming up again. The anniversary date of the murders in the documentaries spark, they went back and just put it through it. And Pete says, I hope so. It seems him and the defense want to wait it out, saying he just went for a late night ride. I get that. And but we haven't seen all the evidence. Don't forget, they're still weighing on the DNA evidence. The judge has to come through with all of that. And I'm wondering if he's going to bring that up on the 26th, if everything's going to be good with that. He has all the information. Whether or not the DNA evidence does get tossed based on how it was acquired and what they used. I don't know. But there seems to be, if that gets tossed, like that actually put him there. Yeah. Oh, the evidence. Or what evidence? Right. Because we don't get to see a lot. Everything gets sealed, including the motion to transfer everything. That was getting sealed up. We couldn't even look at that. Like the motion to get things tossed, all of that, it automatically gets sealed and it's all redacted out. You don't get to see stuff, That case closed up tight pretty quick. I do. I want to see it in the trial. I want to see how that all plays out. I'm with you, Juju, on that one. Now there's a lot of speculation on whether that sheath was actually placed there, if it was actually, something. I don't know. When we don't get a lot of facts coming out, there's a lot of speculation that goes on. Some of it just drives me crazy. But I understand, because I'm curious myself. Like, I understand why people go there, because I'm very, very curious. And they want to feel like they're like, participating somehow, helping to solve the situation, or, looking for things that other people aren't finding, whatever. Well, I've got to wait until this stuff actually comes forward. Because as we've seen, even when we know what all the evidence is, what actually makes it to trial is what's important, because it doesn't matter what we saw. It matters what the jury sees. Okay. What evidence gets put before the jury? The jury is the one that gets to decide the case. So it doesn't matter, like all the stuff we saw beforehand. We saw that happen in Amber Heard, Johnny Depp, in that civil defamation suit. We saw tons of evidence for so long before the case even went to trial. And then some of it never made it into the courtroom. And I'm wondering if that's going to happen with Murdaugh, if we get a second trial on Murdaugh. But we're going to be talking about that in a couple of days. Like, I have to do a whole separate thing on that one. Like, I can't do that now. But I found out some stuff today that made my head spin. Totally made my head spin. All right. We got one more. I don't know if you're ready for these. I don't know if you're ready. We need to talk about Lee Carter. Okay, I linked a lot about Lee Carter down there. Okay. Lee Carter is a 52-year-old man who also goes by the name of Viper, and he's a rapper out of Houston, but he's also a real estate agent. Okay, and the reason that this one came to my attention is there was there's a YouTube site, I believe. Oh gosh, every time I go to think of his name, it's something Law Clips, and he's English. He's very good. He did the documentary, the docuseries on like Von King, that King Von, who is allegedly a serial killer, rapper that never got tried for any of the cases, but actually admitted to it in all of his songs. Was quite fascinating. And while looking at all that's it. Trap Law Ross. That's his name. Thank you very much, Wrecker. Wrecker has the name down there. That is the YouTuber who did this video on Viper. Viper was all over the news with the headlines that Houston rapper arrested for the kidnapping of a pregnant woman for 4 to 5 and holding her against her will for 4 to 5 years. That's her statement. But this story is so wild. Like, so wild. You got to read the articles on this. Yep. Trap Law Ross. That's it. Trap Law Ross. Yep. Thank you, Juju. Thank you, Wrecker. Yeah, that's new, right? Like, this is crazy. Like, yeah. Anyway, last April, the story goes. Okay, let me just tell you a story. All right, first of all, this is him in his rapping days. Let me just tell you about him in his rapping days, because you're going to hear it from Trap Lore too. Trap Lore is going to tell you about how this guy put over 400 albums out a year. No, not rap songs, rap albums. Okay. And the titles are wild. He's crazy. He's like, it's so contrarian. He's so bizarre. He's so ridiculous. I'm sorry, he's not a very good rapper at all. I mean, quantity does not equate to quality. Let's just say that. But anyway, one of the things is, hey, how did he have time to like do human trafficking when he's like putting out all this stuff? Because he actually does it all himself. He writes it, he does the music, like he does the filming and everything. He's got his own little company, you know. Not good albums, just albums, right? Record, like you just puts them out. They're called full albums. They have quite a few, they have a few songs on them, you know. Are all the songs the same? No, Juju, that would make sense. That would make too much sense if it was like the title and it was like 5 tracks all exactly the same, but it's not. That's the scary thing. Like, you got to go check it out. There's a little bit of ridiculousness in this lawsuit, and then there, I mean, in these charges, in this arrest, he was just arrested Thursday, which in itself is quite perplexing to me. Okay, so this is him in a few years ago, because like now I gotta show you what he looks like now. Okay, this is the pictures. On the one side, that's his arrest photo. Okay, and on the other, that is actually him in court on Monday for his bond hearing. He's out on $100,000 bond and he's on house arrest. He has to like stay home. Okay, he was arrested. That's what he looked like when he was arrested. They went and arrested him Thursday based on claims from last April. Yeah, I said that right. April 2023. They actually received a text. It's a bizarre story. This woman got use of the man's laptop while she says she was being kidnapped and held against her will, and was able to use a text app thing to actually notify the police and the services that she was being held against her will. So they came to the property. They found her in a shed, okay, like an extra building on the property, like a shed that was boarded up. Okay, the windows were boarded up. They broke in. She was in there. She weighed 70 pounds when they found her. They ended up taking her to the hospital and everything, but her statement to them was that she was pregnant and on the streets several years ago, and he assisted to help her. He offered to pay her $1 or whatever to get something, and then he just came back and said, you know, let me give you a ride. I'll take you. I'll give you something to eat. And he took her to his house, and he never let her leave. He made her a nice little place with a mattress and a made-up bucket toilet in that shed room that was found to have nothing but chips and candy wrappers and diapers in it. Okay. She used to beg him daily, she says in her statement. This is all from the court documents. It's been several articles that I listed below will repeat what was in the court documents, her statement from April of 2023. Now, the reason they didn't press charges at that time, I mean, because, you know, right? Your heads are spinning right now. Why did he get arrested Thursday for something that happened in April? They found her 70 pounds in this horrible room, saying she was held against her will. But what happened is her condition was so bad when they found her. She seemed like out of sorts. She was only 70 pounds. You know, she was like, whatever. They took her to the hospital to get checked out. And while she was at the hospital, she got released in his custody. He came to get her, and she willingly left the hospital with him. I kid you not. The actual Houston police, like, the police are not issuing a statement as to why it took 9 months to arrest him. I'm sure it has a lot to do with whether she was really at risk. Because, I mean, she just willingly left the hospital. However, we all know that, you know, you can become in a hostage situation, like, you know, not doing the right thing. She could have felt threatened. She could have this, but she was safe at the hospital. and left with him again, back to the house. We don't know what occurred to make the arrest happen. But what we can tell you is that when they went to arrest him, she can't be found. She's nowhere around. She wasn't there. They went there thinking she was still being held. They were investigating the kidnapping again and thinking that she was being held against her will, but she wasn't there. There was a dog there and a dirty mattress and, of course, the bucket toilet, but she wasn't there. They arrested him based on her statements from April. Yeah, where is she now? This is what I want to know, Juju. I have searched, I have scoured the internet. I cannot find hide nor hair a statement of anyone saying where this woman is. What happened to this woman? Also, she was pregnant when she got kidnapped. Where's the baby? In April, there was no baby with her. She was 70 pounds. She said she was pregnant when she got kidnapped. Where's the baby? Okay. Add on to that one of the news organizations, if you search the videos, has this man here in his bail hearing coming out in the hallway talking to the press saying, that's the mother of my children. I didn't do this. I've only had that house for 13 months and lived there. What? Like, that doesn't match the police report. That doesn't match the documents that are coming out. And it took them 9 months to arrest him. Don't you think they would have checked that out, that he only owned the house for 13 months? I don't know if he's just, saying what he's saying. Okay. But he does have somebody in the social medias claiming to be his wife, saying that this woman is his girlfriend that he left me for to have children, and that she's crazy because she's a drug addict. And whenever she gets mad at him, she does this stuff. And I'm like, what? Exactly, Mrs. Cassandra, where are all the kids? And they're also reporting that he has 7 children from the ages of 35 to 7, or 14 children from the ages of 35 to 7. In age. I'm like, what? Where's the baby? Where's the woman? Why 9 months? How long did you actually own the house? Like, he's in real estate. So I'm wondering if this is part of his defense. Like, it couldn't have been me. I didn't own the house. Like, maybe he changed the records. I don't know what's going on, But anyway, we've got an ex-wife saying that it couldn't have been him. He wouldn't do that. He actually left me for her, and she's crazy. Okay. But then again, in her divorce agreement with him, in her divorce filings, was all about she had to leave him because he was so darn abusive and controlling and violent. And now she's sticking up for him like he's the best thing. Like, this case is so messed up. Like, I don't know where the thread of truth is in any of this. Nothing matches. Like, what? Yeah, that's it. That little emoji, Pete? That's how my head is right now. It's like over to the side. And my tongue isn't hanging out, but close. Like, I'll tell you. None of this case makes sense at all, Juju. I know, I'm scratching my head. And that's why I brought it to you all. Because I couldn't sit with this by myself. Like, all right, if you want somebody to blame, you got to blame Wrecker. Because, like, he's the one who showed me that YouTuber who then did the video on this, which got me enticed to go searching the web and finding all this stuff. Like, yeah, we're gonna have to blame the videographer. Yeah, the guy from the UK. It's all his fault. He told a damn good story, and he actually knew of Viper because he's been making fun of him for a while. He has a couple of videos about him. If you want to know more, I do suggest you go check out that guy. He is pretty good. He goes into that, and he does like rap, so he's doing all the rap crimes. He did Tate Savage, like I said, he did King Von, which actually got me into. I did not know. I mean, you would think there would be a lot of violence and crime, in rap because just of the way the songs, like what they're all about. But to actually have it real, like, I was a little like, huh? What? Whoa. Like, I did. It was a bit much. But yeah, Viper. He's making the case roll, you guys, but like, I don't know what to think about this. Like, I mean, first of all, just like from Thursday to Monday, look at the difference in the guy. Like, wow, you know? I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. If it wasn't the question of legal naughtiness, this almost sounds like a 90s sitcom. Where's the baby? Exactly. Yeah, because here's the thing, some of her allegations are quite serious. She says she was forced to have sex. She was forced to only eat chips and candy bars and things and never given a full meal. And actually, the way they found her in April would kind of lead to all of that. I mean, there was a mattress on the floor, like a makeshift toilet in the corner, which was still all there on Thursday, by the way, when they went and tried to free her, and she wasn't there. Um, yeah. She also told the story of the reason that the windows were boarded up on the building is because she had crawled out of them once and got away, but he caught her and brought her back, and the next day had actually boarded up all the windows so she couldn't do that again. It does look kind of sketch. But actually, this is just all what she says. Okay, besides the condition that they found her in, and actually the way that that room actually exists in this area, um, that's what they have to go by from April. Okay, but she did leave the hospital with him, after, and 9 months went by before they actually went to arrest him. And something triggered that arrest. There was something about whether or not she was still being held against her will. They thought that they were going to find her there, okay, or to release someone there. Okay. There's also neighbors talking about other properties that he owns, and perhaps he's into human trafficking. There are neighbors reporting that there were like several women there at a time. They always heard like people yelling, like there was a lot of shadiness going on. Okay. But that could just be neighbors who just don't like you. Like, we don't know. That's not part of a factual case until they're in a courtroom testifying against you about your shady behavior. Okay. But right now, that's not coming from an affidavit. That's coming from an article from the media. That's coming from how they're reporting it out there. They're talking to people. Okay. But this is really like wild, is it not? Yeah. It's just definitely going on the roster. Unless you guys actually boycott or petition, I'm going to follow this one. I'm going to add it to the long list of ones that we are covering, along with another new one that I'm going to be just going to toss the name out there now. I'm not going to give you like the facts, but I'm going to look into Shawnee Lee Kroll, uh, mostly because he's on his ninth lawyer. Yeah, he's on his ninth lawyer. Serious cases, and also because the main evidence in that case was the body, and the body just got thrown out. To me, that's legally enticing. I got to see how this plays. I don't know. That one I believe is coming out of North Dakota, Minot in North Dakota. Shawnee Lee Kroll, Krall. But I'm going to add that one to the roster too. Just give you guys a heads up. Teresa, you're interested in this one too? Okay, that's one vote. Oh, Juju says for sure. That's another one. I don't know. How do you all feel? I'm definitely covering Viper. Definitely. None of this case makes any sense to me. I mean, there's more questions than there are answers. Now, that's not too unusual when a case first like comes to light, but not to this extreme. I mean, where is she? Where's the baby? Why did it take 9 months to arrest him? She was 70 pounds. They saw the evidence of like where she was being held. Everything was all, the mystery of it all, right? I support following this mystery. Absolutely, Juju. And I'm going to need help. You guys are going to need to help me with this one. I'm going to need all the murder minions on point for this. Whatever you hear, whatever scrap of evidence, whatever you find, we need to check out. We need to talk about, because something needs to start making sense in this case. Like, it's wild, you know? Yeah, you're talking about the one that, yeah, you are. Yeah, no, that's Viper, Teresa. We're going to call that the Viper case. and the other one is Crawl. And that one I'm not putting to a vote. That one, I already could tell you that I have chosen that one based on the fact that he's on his ninth lawyer and they threw out the body as evidence. I just, like, I can't even imagine a murder trial going forward like this, but they must have a lot. So I definitely still want to follow that one. Yeah, we're going to crime chat the heck out of this one. Yes, and so those of you that are in the Discord, you will benefit from those crime chats. And those of you that want to be in the Discord, there are several ways that you can join. You become either a Patreon or a channel member through membership, and you automatically can get into the Discord. Also, for those who are creative collaborators with me, and that's pretty easy to do too. I have panel shows. I do talks on many different subjects. I love to stream and go on other channels and do panels and stuff like that. Once you become a creative collaborator with me, you get invited into the Discord also. And it's a great place to continue the conversations, but I will still be out here every week, continuing that conversation anyway, with you guys on multiples of cases. It's gotten to the point where I can't do it just one day a week anymore. There's such a caseload that it's like 2 days a week. So I will probably be back tomorrow night, 7 o'clock again, with some more updates, some little updates on some others. So if there's more you want to talk about on either one of these, I may bring you Shawnee Crawl. I'll give you a brief update on that. I think that's only fair because I just mentioned it. That I should actually tell you a little bit more about it. And then I've got some update on what's going on with Murdoch, a little bit. That was a little bit it's good news and bad news, like, but we'll see. We'll talk about that tomorrow. So let me just look and see if there's any more questions going on. This is a case where the answers lead to more questions when you need yes, there's so many more questions. I'm game. I need to get the algorithm to stop feeding me YouTube drama stories. It's now sucking me into the sniper wolf. Oh gosh, Rocket, the sniper wolf thing. This is crazy. Isn't that over though, or does she do something else? Oh, that's a silly question because she's always doing something else. I should have just asked, what did she do now? Like, what did she do now? Couch? Like, anything new? Aw, look at the trees. Thank you so much. Oh, they're pretty with the green hearts and the thank you. I do. Wait, what's this? Contributing collaborators? Oh, wait, that's how I got into the library. It sure is, Jean. It sure is. Like, stop it. Everybody, like, I love my creative collaborators and contributing collaborators. I do. And on that line, I wonder if anybody noticed that I put out the last chapter of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Yes, the last chapter from book 1 of Douglas's Adams series is done. It's up. I put it up earlier yesterday, I think, late yesterday. And that closes out book 1. But I am very pleased to say that there are so many people that signed on board that book 2 is well under the way. There are people recording for it right now. And in a couple of weeks, we will start that one. I'm going to roll that one out, not 3 episodes a week, sometimes 2, sometimes 1, but it'll be a much slower roll out on that. I want to give people more time to play with their chapters. Everyone was having fun with it. With some people were doing effects and different voices, and I myself had a little more fun with the last chapter. And I have to actually just applaud Wrecker for his patience, and for MC Wrecker helps with the audio on this channel, and he is outstanding with the special effects and just giving a little bit more oomph to some of these reads that was just perfection and made it so much more fun and enjoyable, and it's just it's a passion project of mine. It's something I've wanted to do since I came out on YouTube, and I wasn't brave enough, but it seems to be working. And we do actually plan on continuing with the whole series. We're going to do all the books. I'm still iffy on the last one, that wasn't completely written by Adams, because I'm a little bit of a purist that way. I love Douglas Adams so much, his wit, his humor, the actual charm in his writing. You can't read that out loud sometimes and not just giggle, like not just get the humor and get like the freaking entertainment value of it is like top notch. I'm a huge fan. And so the fact that they had somebody else come in to finish the book with him is a little off-putting for me. I have to read it again to see how it sits with me before we decide to cover it. And then I may bring it to YouTube as a vote, but I'm not sure, because I do feel pretty strongly about creativity in a original format for people's ideas. And like, if I want to represent the actual art, creativity, and genius of the author Douglas Adams, I think it really should be his work that I'm putting out there, right? Yeah, that's kind of where I'm sitting with it now. I could change my mind. We'll see. But anyway, I hope you check it out. I hope you all have a great night. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. If you know anybody else that'd be interested in any of the many things that I do, just let them know. There's room for everybody. Unless of course unless of course you're an edgelord contrarian who just pisses me off for the night. But I will tell you this, he probably will be welcomed back, because he just pissed me off for the night. I just wasn't having it. Like, I'll try to be open about it. You guys know I'm not normally this testy. So for anybody that was put aside about it or offended, I apologize. But actually, I have to apologize with the sorry, not sorry. I do own my asshole, and I wasn't having it tonight. That's the way it was. I'm not going to apologize because it was genuine. He pissed me off. He totally did. He did get under my skin, and I just didn't feel like it tonight. I do open the other side of a conversation, but you actually have to bring something, not just the piss off factor. So anyway, wasn't my best behavior, I'll grant you that. But I own it. I did it. So sorry if it offended anybody, but that's just the way it was tonight. And hopefully you'll come back tomorrow to see a better version. A well-rested, not so wind-terrorized version of myself. You all have a good night. Thank you.